Phillies are starting to find their mojo, both on the mound and at the plate, winning 4 of their last 5. And tonight, left-hander Eric Bedard looks to keep it rolling as he faces his former club, the Baltimore Orioles. Welcome to T-Mobile Tuesday Night Baseball. Tonight we greet you from Tropicana Field for the second game of the Rays' 10-game homestand and the middle game of the series between the Rays and the Baltimore Orioles. Hi again, everyone, and welcome inside with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Statz. Todd Callis along in just a few moments. Rays winners last night in dramatic style. They won 4 of their last 5, and with this mini resurgence, the offense showing signs of coming back along with steady pitching.
This has been one of the few stretches, Dwayne, this season where the Rays have been able to sync up the offense and the pitching. They have made it count, too, the last 5 games, winning 4 of them. Offensively, they've scored 24 runs in the last 5 games. That averages out to 4.8 runs a game. The average has been very good at 276, but their on-base percentage as a team at 347, and they've had some big hits. You know, you think about the big 2-out home run yesterday by Ryan Hannigan, and none bigger than what Jerry Sands has done the last couple of days. A game winner on Sunday afternoon, and of course the game-winning home run in last night's game, both of them coming late in the game. The pitching staff, they've been getting it done too. The ERA 2.66, 52 strikeouts in 44 innings. That comes out to over 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, and it hasn't been one side or the other. It's been the starters and the bullpen. Starters ERA 3.38. You like that number? You like the bullpen number even better at 1.56.
And the pitching matchup, Eric Bedard on the hill for the Rays. Failed to go 5 his last time out against the Cardinals, but the Rays won that game. In fact, the Rays have won his last 2 starts, and he won the start prior to that against Seattle. And Miguel Gonzalez, the right-hander, comes off the disabled list to do the pitching for Baltimore. Jerry Sands, the man of the hour, to end the road trip and to open the homestand. Todd Callis has more when we return.
To the game as the Orioles and the Rays get ready for the middle game of this 3-game series at Tropicana Field. Yesterday, Sands accomplished something that hadn't been done in almost a quarter century in the American League. Harold Baines, the last one to have game-winning pinch hits in back-to-back games. He did it with the A's in 1990. In the National League, Howard Battle did it in 99 with the Braves. And here it is, Houston, broken bat number 1 on the first swing, broken bat number 2 on the second swing. 3 different bats used, and the third one was the charm as the Rays in a tie game. Jerome Williams on the mound, and Sands would completely destroy that bat. Only the handle left in his hand, and that would knock in the run to give the Rays a 4-3 lead. They would win that game by that same score. And then last night, 2-0 count. Brian Mattis on the mound, and Sands hit what he called the longest and most important home run of his 5 in the big leagues. This one stayed fair inside the left field foul pole, and the Rays would win 5-4. Here was Sands after the game.
It's big. I mean, obviously for this team, we've been struggling. To get some wins here lately, and obviously it's fun to be the guy that does it for the team. So it's exciting.
He's ready to swing. I mean, he's ready to hack. He's not up there just hanging out. You know, there's some guys who go up there a little bit passively. He's not. I don't think he's a passive person by nature. I like the idea that I think he can move the ball against the righty too. There's certain guys that I think he profiles well against, and. But primarily, it's just his makeup. I think he's good about that.
He's one of 3 righties off Joe Madden's bench tonight, along with Logan Forsythe and Ryan Hannigan. The lefty off the bench is Kevin Kiermaier getting the night off. 2 minutes, 40 seconds till the first pitch. Orioles and Rays on a Tuesday night from Tropicana Field. Enjoy all the action. Eric Bedard against Miguel Gonzalez next.
Just moments away from the first pitch of this one with Eric Bedard on the hill. We're all set to play baseball. Nick Markakis will lead it off. Markakis, the right fielder. Bedard making his 12th start. Markakis leading off again for Buck Showalter's club, and the first pitch of this game is a strike call. First pitch presented by Pinch a Penny, so we are underway. A fastball from Markakis to start this game. It's fouled back, 0-2. Eric Bedard pitching against his former club. Rays winners last night by a count of 5-4. Upstairs 1-2. Rays over their last 5 games, winning 4 of those and pushing an average of about 5 runs a game. And the Orioles over their last 9, just under 3 runs a game they've been averaging.
Well, that's been the main struggle, because Baltimore has a hard time manufacturing offense. They need to score in bunches. They need to use the long ball as part of that. We talked a lot last night. This team doesn't run the fewest stolen bases in Major League Baseball. They don't walk that much. They just have a hard time manufacturing things without.
Into left. That's David DeJesus there to make the catch. So Markakis is the first out. And for your Southern Ford dealers, we'll take a look at the remainder of the Baltimore lineup. Steve Pearce, the DH, followed by Adam Jones. Chris Davis at first, Nelson Cruz, J.J. Hardy. Bottom 3 is Manny Machado, Jonathan Scope, and Caleb Joseph, the catcher, bats 9th. Pearce over 300 to start the game at 306. 4 home runs, and he takes the first pitch away.
Most of that damage obviously coming against left-handed pitching. That's why you see him in the lineup tonight. You see him up in the 2 spot, usually manned by Manny Machado.
2 balls, no strikes for Bedard. This is his 7th start against the Baltimore Orioles. 1-1 with a 5.54 ERA against this team. And he falls behind, way behind, Steve Pearce, 3-0.
Well, the way that you want to pitch this Baltimore lineup, you've got to pitch to the edges. But this team, you try to get ahead of them. You try to expand the zone a little bit. They're very aggressive.
There's a strike call, 3-1.
And if you're able to jump out in front of them, you can take full advantage of that. But if you end up putting yourself into 2-0 counts, 3-1 counts, that's not where you want to be, especially against an offense that's as powerful as this offense, but they've been struggling. They are looking to break out.
They're 3rd in the league in hitting at .264. 5th in slugging percentage, but they're 10th in runs scored and 15th in walks drawn, dropping their on base to 12th in the league. And there's a walk. Comes with 1 out here in the first. This was a close pitch.
A fastball here by Bedard, but when you have been a little inconsistent with the command early in a game through an at-bat, you will not get the benefit of the doubt too often.
Those 2 pitches down and away were pretty close and actually looked pretty good there. But he did not get the call, and Pearce is aboard on the walk.
You know what? And those were strikes last night. You know, the ball down in the zone was being called pretty consistently. And boy, as a pitcher, you love to have those pitches down there. That helps you out a ton.
Well, here's Adam Jones. These 2 involved in the trade for each other. There's a strike. There were others in that deal, and Jones, as a young outfielder, found himself with Baltimore, coming over from Seattle in that deal that sent Eric Bedard out to the Mariners. And Jones has been tough against Bedard, and their one-on-one confrontations, he's 6 out of 12 against him.
Now it gets a good look at a left-hander who is not overpowering, but the one thing that Bedard does do very well is he's able to, if he can get ahead, he's got that good curveball that can give you some depth.
It's inside. It's now a 1-1 count. How about that? Eric Bedard for Adam Jones and Chris Tillman. There were others in that deal as well that we can get to, but those have been the principals And boy, what a deal that turned out to be for Baltimore.
How about that? Your starting center fielder, a ton of awards, and then Chris Tillman is your opening day starter.
This one skied to shallow right. Matt Joyce is out there for the Rays and makes the catch. 2 gone.
Well, let's take a quick look at the Tampa Bay defense as it lines up tonight in the outfield. Left to right, we have David DeJesus, Desmond Jennings, and Matt Joyce across the infield. Third to first, Sean Rodriguez, Yunel Escobar, Ben Zobrist, and James Loney. Jose Molina will be behind the plate.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal when you can get a Gold Glove center fielder who hits home runs and arguably the best pitcher in your rotation. Pretty good trade, as it turns out. Here's Chris Davis. 1 strike to him.
But a lot of times too, when you make those trades with with an established big leaguer for some high-end prospects or early start in their career, you're not quite sure how it's going to turn out.
And we can't forget that Bedard, back in those years, he was 5th in the Cy Young Award balloting in 2007. So he'd had some substantial success in Baltimore. 2 strikes the count to Chris Davis.
His tenure there, he was 40-34. An ERA of 3.83.
Now the 2-strike pitch. Upstairs and a check. 1-2. Pierce is at first. And with Davis up there, of course, the Rays have the shift on. Sean Rodriguez playing third base, and he's over at deep short right now with the shift on. Up again. Fastball, 87, 88. And that's about where Bedard stays with that pitch.
Upper 80s, but that's also, he's trying to climb the ladder with that fastball against Chris Davis. He can be beat up in the zone. And that's where he's tried to go with the last 2.
Foul ball. Rolling to the backstop.
Here Bedard flips in that curveball, and it's Chris Davis reaching, and that ball right off of Jose Molina, exposed.
Well, Molina's officially in the game now that he's taken a foul ball somewhere on his body. He's gotten that first one over with and ready to proceed. It's a regular occurrence with Jose Molina back there, it seems. Ooh, a little bit high there. Fastball taken for ball 3. Nelson Cruz on deck, the Major League's leading home run hitter.
Yeah, that's why you want to make a pitch here. Another pitch up and out of the zone. Continues to try to throw that fastball up to get a chase. Hasn't gotten it yet. Steve Pierce, he will be off and running with the pitch.
Pierce takes off the 3-2. Swing and a miss. Davis out on strikes. A little late movement on that one got him. No runs, a walk, and a man left. We go to the bottom of the first. No score. score as we go to the bottom of the first inning. Joe Madden and the Rays will line them up this way. Presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Desmond Jennings will lead it off in center field. Matt Joyce in right. The DH is Evan Longoria. James Loney hits cleanup with Ben Zobrist hitting fifth at second in front of David DeJesus. Yunel Escobar in the seventh slot. Jose Molina bats eighth, and Sean Rodriguez at third base hitting ninth.
They'll be taking on for the Baltimore Orioles right-hander Miguel Gonzalez, making his 11th start of the season. He's just activated off the disabled list with a strained right oblique. His last start came on May the 30th. That was against the Houston Astros. Pitched into the seventh inning, giving up just 2 earned runs. Unfortunately, took the loss in that game 2-1.
First pitch is upstairs to Desmond Jennings. Our Buick big matchup tonight. Desmond Jennings against Gonzalez. 3 home runs. You see right there, 5 of 19. But he's 5 out of his last 8 against him. Got a pretty good pitch right there and fouled it right back. 1-1. That was a good pitch that Jennings would love to see again.
High right out over the plate. Jennings could get good extension. And Miguel Gonzalez, he relies on moving the ball around the zone, changing speeds, but he will give you pitches to hit.
A bunt attempt through it. The count is 1-2.
Got that little cut fastball there that he'll show you. And ball with just a little bit of late movement, 86 miles an hour. He'll use that thing as a slider too, try to get some depth with it.
Gonzalez, 31 years old. Born in Mexico. Makes his home in California. He was an 11-game winner last year for Baltimore, 11-8. Low with a curveball right there. That was pretty close.
Yeah, I think that ball was almost center cut.
I'll tell you, we've had some close pitches here that have not gone for strikes.
Yeah, and I don't even think this was a borderline pitch. Right there, nice job by receiving that pitch. Made it look even better.
Fouled back.
Well, right now, tonight, the bottom of the strike zone may be off limits, and that's not going to benefit either one of these pitchers.
It's Ron Culpa calling the balls and strikes. Side. So it runs to 3-2, the count. Gonzalez, he is 3-3 against the Rays in 9 prior starts. He's earned on average a little over 3.5. But here at the Trop, you've got 4 games here with a 1.75 ERA. Lifted into right center. Jones, the center fielder, right there to make the catch. 1 away.
Now let's take a look at that Baltimore defense as it lines up tonight. In the outfield, left to right, we have Nelson Cruz, Adam Jones, and Nick Markakis. Across the infield, third to first, Manny Machado, J.J. Hardy, Jonathan Scope, and Chris Davis. Caleb Joseph back behind the plate. And he did have a start this year against the Rays. Back on April the 16th, he went 5 shutout, struck out 6 in that game, and picking up a win.
That was up in Baltimore. Ground ball. That ball's going to get through the middle, and Matt Joyce has a base hit. Hardy shaded way to his left, almost got there, but just beneath his glove. Into center, and Joyce is aboard.
Well, Matt Joyce has beaten the shift a number of times with ground balls that have been able to sneak through, and I don't know if even J.J. Hardy gets to that because he had to go so far to his left. He would have had to spin and throw. I don't think he would have gotten him anyway, and Matt Joyce with a 1-out hit here for the Rays.
Well, Evan Longoria will be the DH to get him off his feet. Give him a little rest. He was on base 3 times last night with a double and 2 walks. Joe Madden has him as the designated hitter. That's a strike call.
Well, I think you pick your spots every now and then to give a guy a little bit of a breather. You don't want to take the bat of Evan Longoria out of the game. And with the Rays, really in some must-win situations, they need to put something together, you know, especially here on this homestand. I think that's Joe Madden. He's going to be running out these guys and beating on them pretty hard to try to win some games.
1 ball, 1 strike. Well, they've already, and Joe Madden normally is less play the game and they're process driven, but he has looked at that schedule as well and has articulated that this is a very, very important homestand for the Rays, the 10 games they have here now. Started it last night with a win. 2 balls and a strike, because Madden's mentality, and he hopes this team's mentality is still, let's see if somehow they can't give it a run. Mathematically, there are a few possibilities that could happen, but they are certainly going to have to run and then some in at 28-43 right now. Ground ball down to third, Machado to second, and the throw, 1 hops into first, not in time on the turn by Scope down there. So Joyce is forced and Longoria is aboard.
You know, Dwayne, I think that's why, as you see right here, the chopping action, I think, is what allowed the Rays to stay out of this double play. Then the long throw, Joyce is able to get in on Scope and Longoria beats it. I think that's why you're going to see Joe Madden start to manage these games as if they're playoff games, as if they're almost elimination games. He's going to make earlier moves. Yep. He's going to go to the bullpen at the first sign of trouble. And, you know, really, when you do that and the other team doesn't match that kind of sense of urgency and how they're going to manage the game, you really have a chance to reel off some wins. And I think that's what the Rays are looking to do.
Well, we sensed that last night as Loney fouled it back. McGee was in the game in the 8th. He closed the day before. And here's the breakout. The bottom one to get to 90 wins. Might not have to get to 90 if you're thinking possibility of that second wild card spot. 86, 87 might do it. But still, even then, they're going to have to win 58 games.
Yeah, they're going to have to play, 25, 26 games over 500 from here on out. Now, it's easy for us to sit up here and talk about that. What these players need to do and what they will do is just take it right here. Take this at bat, take this inning.
Absolutely.
Take this one game. That's the only way you'd be able to even pull anything off like that. Because it can look a little bit overwhelming, especially when you're sitting at 15 under.
Absolutely.
And you're saying we got to play 25 over here on out.
And the fact that this team has at one point been 18 under. No one has ever done that. No, they've never gone from 18 under to get to the postseason. Now, we've seen what's happened over the last 6 years, and you think, well, nothing's impossible. And so that's even more of a reason why Madden and the players will be really moment to moment, as not only game to game, but moment to moment, I think. And leave it to us to put up those scenarios. Hey, this could happen, that could happen. They're concerned about trying to score a run in the here and now and shut down the opposing offense in the here and now.
That's something that they've done the last 5 games, which has allowed them to win 4 of them.
Loney has drawn the walk. Pushes Longoria into second. James Loney trots to first. So the Rays with a couple men on base, 2 men out, and Ben Zobrist about to step in.
And for the Rays to continue to put pressure on opposing pitchers and score runs and win ball games, they're going to have to be opportunistic. And the walk right here with James Loney gets Evan Longoria into scoring position with 2 outs and their first chance to drive a run in. And who knows, get a hold of one, maybe drive more than one in.
Well, Ben had a nice series in Houston. He's trying to increase his production in these situations here at the Trop. Man in scoring position, 2 men on right now with 2 outs. 1-0 the count. Ben 1 for his last 32 with runners in scoring position. Two-out opportunity here in the bottom of the first against Miguel Gonzalez. And Ben is ahead in the count, 2-0.
And just cannot find the strike zone right now with any consistency. The walk to Loney, 2 quick balls here to Ben Zobrist. That's going to get a visit from Caleb Joseph. Maybe some words of encouragement, some reminders, and then a pitch. What are we going to do right here? 2-0 to Ben. Now, if you're number 18, you couldn't think of a better scenario. Runners on first and second. Here 2 outs, but you got a 2-0 count.
Two and one.
And that, right?
Yes,
You're
exactly.
looking at each other.
Yeah.
That was not your typical Ben Zobrist 2-0 count swing. Kind of an awkward swing here by Ben. He gets the fastball middle of the plate. That looked like more of an 0-2 type of swing.
Almost as if he didn't see the pitch.
Something.
Yeah.
It was not on time, and it was not in sync.
Fly ball into center field, and that's going to carry out to Jones, who makes the catch. So the Rays leave 2, and we'll head into the second inning. No score. The Orioles, game 2 of the 3-game series. And as we examine our Toyota trend, Eric Bedard here at the Trop especially has been pitching well lately with that 2-1 record. And look at the other numbers.
Yeah, I mean, just sterling. ERA 1.69, that opponent's average. He's striking out more than a hitter an inning. You can't do much better than that.
Nelson Cruz takes the pitch upstairs. With numbers like that, the Trop is the home he's been looking for. Those are impressive numbers.
And he's gone through some stretches this year where, he's been the Rays' hottest pitcher.
Behind Cruz, 2-0. Well, he started this season needing to get stretched out to develop that stamina so that he could put what you would hope to get out of a starting pitcher in terms of innings together. And so he was playing kind of catch up from the beginning.
Yeah, and he still quite hasn't gotten there. And some of it is the way that the game sets up, the way Joe Madden is going to manage the game that he starts. But 6 of his 11 starts, he's gotten to 5 innings and more. And then in 5 of the 11, it's been 4 2/3 or fewer. So, right now a crapshoot if he can get to that 5th inning and get past that, but a lot of that's by design. First sign of trouble in the 4th and 5th, and Joe usually got a quick trigger with Eric.
Yeah, and his pitch count, when he gets into the middle part of the game, beyond the 4th, 5th inning, then that pitch count is right on the cusp of Well, is that enough? Should we let him go a little longer or not? And so he suffered from that.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can ring up 100 pitches in 5 innings pretty quickly. Or pretty consistently, I should say.
3-2. Zobrist right there for this one, and Cruz is out number 1. Bedard's averaging 18.5 pitches an inning so far this year, and that's a little bit more than his career average.
Shortstop, number 2.
Strikeout rate has been good. See the ball in the air off him a little more than the average pitcher out there. J.J. Hardy, and the pitch is a strike. That's one of the reasons Joe Madden picked this game for Longoria to be the DH, figuring there'd be fewer ground balls with Bedard on the mound. 1-1 the count. Baltimore in a game over 500, 35-34. Into right field, and Matt Joyce lines up to make the catch. 2 gone.
Well, that's what you're going to see Eric Bedard try and do against the right-handed hitters. Get him to reach for the ball away. He'll occasionally come in. You know, he's got that good glove side fastball, and when he's able to throw that pitch for strikes, it really opens up that outside corner and also allows that curve ball of his to become more effective. So if you can get guys reaching like that, trying to hit the ball the other way, there's a few of them that got power the other way, but a lot of them will hit you those lazy fly balls all day.
Manny Machado lifts this one into left. It's DeJesus coming in. He's got it. So 1-2-3 go the Orioles. Rays come in to hit in their half of the second. No score. You're going to love the OJs playing the Summer Concert Series right after the Rays take on the Astros this Saturday, June 21st. Rays will turn back the clock to the 70s, and you can get down and enjoy the OJs. They play hits like I Love Music and Love Train. Get your tickets now at RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS. David DeJesus to lead off the second for the Rays. Facing Miguel Gonzalez. The fastball is out of the zone. 1 ball, no strikes. The Rays and the Orioles square off here. The Blue Jays and the Yankees go at it in New York. Toronto up by 4.5 on New York, 5 up on Baltimore. The strike. New York idle last night, so the Rays' victory over Baltimore dropped the Orioles a half game back of New York in third. Boston 8.5 back. The Rays 13 out right now. Ground ball off the glove of Gonzalez, and that's going to be a base hit for De Jesus. Leadoff man on in the second inning for the Rays.
Well, Miguel Gonzalez doesn't get a glove on that, and the Orioles more apt to be able to make a play. Chopper up the middle, and you see off the glove, and that ball just dies right behind the mound, between the mound and second base. Allows David De Jesus to sneak in with a base hit. Dwayne, you're talking about the American League East standings. That's the other thing that's going to be important, even more so now for the Rays, is games within the division. Those are the games that you really have to win, because that's the only way that you can guarantee yourself any kind of movement at all. You don't have to rely on other teams.
Cut and a miss by Escobar. And anytime you have to climb over teams, it's especially difficult, whether you're 13 back or whether you're 2.5 or 3.5. Difficult to do that. The Rays right now inside the East are 12-17. The Orioles, for an example, the exact opposite. They're 17-12, and the Rays win last night was their first win over Baltimore. They're now 1-5 against the Orioles. So they're in a situation where they're going to have to take care of business, and the head-to-head series such as the one we have right now play out extremely important for the Rays.
The wins can allow you to gain that ground quickly, but the losses conversely they just finish things for you. You just keep pushing you further behind.
Jesus back in at first.
Rays, a team that doesn't run a ton. They will pick their spots. They'll pick their spots against certain pitchers, certain catchers. Right now, Baltimore more susceptible to the stolen base with Matt Wieters not being in there. And Miguel Gonzalez, teams 8 out of 9 against him in that category.
Yeah, and that's a significant change from a year ago. Check swing and a roller, foul. 1-2. There are only 2 stolen bases against him, only 5 attempts last year. This year, 8 out of 9, as you mentioned.
Now, when you had Matt Wieters back there, that brought a lot of apprehension as far as the running game goes.
And he really ran this pitching staff.
Sure
too.
did.
That's a big difference.
Knows the division well, knows these hitters well.
Inside 2-2, and so that's a tough job in this case. Joseph comes up from the minor leagues. He came up when the word first came out about the elbow of Wieters. So here's this young catcher stepping in here, trying to do most of the catching. That's a big job in the shadow of Wieters.
Yeah, because Wieters' contributions to this team go way further than any numbers that you can read about him.
There's a block by Joseph. Keep that ball in front of him. As the breaking ball got a little big right there.
And in the dirt, you see Caleb Joseph flipping that glove around, sliding out, getting in front of that baseball, keeping it close. And pretty good job there by Caleb Joseph.
Count full. Escobar waiting. Down to third, backhanded by Machado. Out at second and out at first on the scoop. They turned the double play.
Boy, nice job by Baltimore to be able to turn that double play. Not an easy ground ball to handle for Machado. And a nice job by Scope to make the throw to Chris Davis, even though Davis had to scoop it. Watch De Jesus bearing down on him. Got to get rid of it in a hurry. Low throw. Davis, nice scoop.
So the Rays, who've been victimized by too many double plays this year, lose the leadoff runner on that double play.
Boy, that is now 64 double plays. They came in with obviously 63. That was tied for the third most in Major League Baseball, and this is the team that has turned more double plays than anybody in Major League Baseball by a wide margin.
It's top to bottom right there. 84 double plays turned by Baltimore, best in the big leagues. Scope out from second base on the pop-up, retires Molina. So the Rays, despite the leadoff single, do not score.
In the Orioles, Tampa Bay has now signed 29 of their 41 draft picks in the first-year player draft, including the guy to my right, Brent Honeywell, who was selected third overall, second round, competitive balance portion of the draft. Talk about today. You finally signed officially with the Rays. What's the last few days, last week or so been for you?
I just tried to have fun my last week because I knew it was going to have to leave here in the next couple of weeks. So. Went and had fun, went down about 3 days to the beach. But, can't wait to get started.
What was that moment like? Walter State Community College, not exactly a baseball powerhouse. You're the highest draft pick since they've gone to just the one draft. What was that like to be selected where you were?
It was a surprise to me because I went in not expecting very much. I just didn't want to be disappointed. But Walter State's a very good JUCO program. Yeah. I have to give a shout out to Coach Seaver, Joey Seaver, who went to Texas Rangers early on in the season, which he helped me progress really fast the first 3 weeks I was there. So, he gave me the, bottom line, what was going to happen, what has to happen. So.
Jonathan Scope leads off with a base hit. You've got an interesting tie to Major League Baseball, too. Your dad pitched for Mike Marshall, cousin of your dad's. Is that how you developed the screwball?
Yeah. My dad ended up pitching with the Pirates in 88 and 90. Marshall was a Cy Young Award winner in 74 with the Dodgers. It's a bloodline thing, I guess. I'm not real sure what's happening there, but Marshall threw up some really good numbers, and my dad put up some good numbers before he got injured. So
you don't see the screwball very often, guys, as Caleb Joseph bats. Before we let Brent go, he did an awesome imitation of the ball for Rage before the game. In fact, he did it in front of Grant. Can you give us a little cleaner version of that? Can you show us what you did?
Oh, yeah. No problem.
Let's go.
That is the cleaned up version of the ball for range. We look forward to you pitching here at Tropicana Field down the road. Thank you very much for joining us.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, guys, right back to you.
All right, Todd, and thank you for keeping this still a family show. And we know that was a challenge for you, and we certainly appreciate it.
You know what? I see director in his future.
Yeah, I do.
You know what? The big screen, the silver screen. Able to keep the talent under control there.
And yet provide motivation and direction.
What can't he do?
We know talent needs direction. Swing and a miss. Joseph out on strikes. Scope at first with a leadoff single. Bedard strikes out the Baltimore catcher. So here's Nick Markakis, the top of the order. Upstairs, look down at first there by Molina. On Scope, not going anywhere.
Nick Markakis really taking to that leadoff spot. Not your prototypical leadoff hitter. And boy, oh boy, he's done a nice job for Buck Showalter hitting.
You know, his power numbers had been down over the last few years. He's in that leadoff spot. He's in the top 3 in total hits. He came into this game hitting 300 even and tied for third with 86 hits.
Well, we just came from Houston, where Jose Altuve at that time was leading Major League Baseball with 90. Closing in on that number. Pretty good career numbers too. That average 293. Good doubles guy, gap to gap power.
And he's doing that again this year. 13 doubles. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, he was a guy that had that run there where he was going to be threatening or just over 40 doubles a year.
You know, he had 1 year with 48 doubles and had a run of 4 consecutive seasons with 43, 48, 45, and 45. Drove in 100 runs in one of those years. 101, I think. 2-2 the count now on Markakis. He's infield, looking for a double play ball. Not a lot of those thrown by Bedard. Foul back, holding the count at 2-2. Speaking of doubles, Dustin Pedroia has double home a run in the bottom of the second for Boston. And the Red Sox take a 1-0 lead on Minnesota. That's Phil Hughes against John Lester in that game.
And pretty good pitching matchup too. Phil Hughes throwing the ball very well for the Twins. Of course, John Lester, you know how good he can be.
Two, and we'll have a full count.
Just a little bit quick on the delivery there. Eric Bedard trying to drive that ball away from Markakis. A little jumpy, and he sprays it high. Interesting to see here of Buck Showalter with this leadoff man at the plate. Sends Scope with the full count, just 1 out.
Scope does not go, and a base hit through the right side. Scope will make the turn and head for third, and the throw will not be in time. First and third with 1 out. Markakis ran the count full and picks up the second hit of the inning, surrendered by Bedard.
Well, he gets the head out and finds the hole right there. A chopper, no chance for anybody. Your only shot right here is Joyce and right. The throw on Scope And that's not going to happen. You see Matt Joyce, a nice job of getting to it and getting rid of it. A little bit too much speed from Scope.
So the Orioles put up their first threat. And Steve Pearce, the designated hitter, drew a walk in the first inning up in a run-producing situation.
And you can see him peeking over to the right side because the Rays are handing him that side of the field on the ground.
Strike one. Out in front, change up.
You see right here Ben Zobrist shading up the middle and all this room with Loney holding the runner on, holding Markakis on over at first. But Steve Pearce, as you could tell by that first swing, an aggressive lineup, an RBI situation, and a guy that loves left-handed pitching. He is going to be up there to hack, even though he walked his first time up. Different situation here.
It's away, and the count is 1-1.
There's something about these hitters when they get in the box and they know they've got runners out there that they want to drive in. Sometimes they'll change their approach. A lot of times they'll change their approach.
Back foul, out of play.
Now, here's a situation too, looking at overall numbers right now. Baltimore leads the American League with a .281 average with runners in scoring position. Eric Bedard, on the other hand, has held the opposition to just a .179 average in these instances. So very good numbers by Bedard, very good numbers by Baltimore.
So a challenge against the Orioles lineup, especially the guy behind Pearce, Adam Jones. But one hitter at a time. 1-2 the count to Steve Pearce. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Boy, a nifty scoop there by Jose Molina on a ball that worked its way right into the dirt. Kind of a backhand scoop here on the curveball. You see him not going to go down and block it. Just able to get that glove over top of the baseball. That's a risky move right there.
2-2 the count. Lifted up the right side, well out of play. Scope singled with 1 out. Markakis singled, sending Scope to third. Upstairs, the count is full on Pearce. And ball 4 will load the bases. This is not who Bedard wanted to face, but the base is loaded. Adam Jones on his way to the plate. Jones with 12 home runs. Number 12 came last night in the 6th inning.
And continuing his torrid month of June. He has been red hot for Baltimore this month.
Yeah, half of his home runs on the year have come this month already. He's hitting over 360 in June and 414 against left-handed pitching coming into this game. So the bases are loaded. He fouls the first pitch, a fastball back and out of play. Strike 1. Jones, as we chronicled, Jones and Bedard traded in that big deal between the Mariners and the Orioles back in February of 2008. turned into a 3-time All-Star and a 3-time Gold Glove winner. The 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. And you can see with men in scoring position, 328.
Well, the other thing that you know is there's a really good chance he's not going to walk here. He's going to swing the bat.
Bedard misses wide. 2-1. He tried the off speed change of speed right there. Bedard moving into the mid-20s in pitch count in this inning with 1 out and the bases full of Orioles. Foul ball straight back, and that's going to be out of play into the upper deck. So the count is square at 2-2.
Well, here it is, 2-1 fastball. You got to let go of it. This ball ends up in just a little bit. Adam Jones can't quite get to it. Say, what if you're Eric Bedard? You feel good with that curveball. This would be a nice opportunity to drop one short.
2, and this one gets away, all the way to the backstop, off the mid of Molina, and Scope scores the first run of the night. Well, wild pitch uncorked by Bedard.
Yeah, no question about that. 87 miles an hour, and Jose Molina really didn't have a chance. Boy, this ball way out of the zone and up off the tip of the glove.
Markakis now at third with Pierce at second base. Full count on Jones. And he hits him. There's the curveball. Maybe a change.
I think, Dwayne, I think that may have been the changeup, and that's the pitch that Eric Bedard has a tendency to push. You know, with his other pitches, he looks free and easy, the ball coming out of his hand. Occasionally with the changeup, you can see that he kind of pushes the ball, almost a shot put towards home plate. And this one, it's not the movement at all, or the location, obviously, that you want that pitch, and it catches Adam Jones right in the foot angle.
So Bedard has given up 2, or given up 1. The bases are loaded for the second time. He hits Jones. Scope scored on the wild pitch. The bases reloaded for Chris Davis. And action down there in the Rays bullpen. We start to see some stirring. So a big spot already here in the third inning. Rays going to get Kirby Yates up, it would appear. Foul ball cut by Chris Davis. Swing and a miss. 0-2. Scope has scored. Bases loaded. 1 out. 0-2 the count on Davis. It's a high fly ball toward the left field corner. DeJesus to the line and runs right into the wall. Down he goes. The ball is fair. Rodriguez will go out to retrieve it. And DeJesus still sitting in front of the wall at that 3:15 marker. And that ball, we're going to have to see if that ball was off the wall or off the pole.
I think it hit the pole. I think that ball hit above David DeJesus, did not hit the low wall. How about the fact that Chris Davis, #1, was able to keep this ball fair? And then let's take a look. That ball certainly looked like it hit up further than that wall. And see, it's already coming down right there. And I think they're going to get this. If they look at it, that ball hit the pole. Yeah, right there. And then Davis right back down.
Boy, oh boy. DeJesus hit the wall full speed ahead. David DeJesus right into the wall.
Well, see, that's you're single-minded in trying to make a play there. And David DeJesus not even worrying about that low wall. He's going for the ball. Fortunately, he's not dinged up after that collision.
Right now, they have Jones at third and Davis at second base. But it would appear, well, we'll wait and see. It's a crew chief review on that ball.
I'll tell you what, the only benefit for the Rays right here is this gives Kirby Yates time to get ready if Joe Madden wants to go in that direction. But I'll tell you, see this ball, he hits the wall. That ball's on its way down when it's still above that yellow stripe. So you got to assume that ball hit the pole right there, and now it's coming down.
And it's a home run. So Chris Davis will get a grand slam out of that. An opposite field slam that hit the pole. And the Orioles have a big inning just like that. An 0-2 pitch. And Chris Davis has hit his 12th home run of the year. It comes with the bases full. And here it is.
And with 2 strikes, a ball that was elevated, he flips down the line. And right off the pole.
So here's Cruz. Nelson Cruz takes a pitch outside. That's a strike. It's 1-1. Boy, there were a lot of things to be concerned about on that ball hit by Chris Davis. It turns out to be a grand slam, and you're concerned about DeJesus, who went full speed ahead right into the wall. He was on the warning track in a sitting situation for a long time, and you see that the upper arm and shoulder took quite a hit.
That's what you're afraid of. You know, you're running to the side like that, right into the wall, leading with that shoulder and that arm and not expecting it. That gets jarred pretty good, as does the rest of your body.
High foul. It's going to be out of play, and the count is still 1-2. So the umpires on that potential home run, potential grand slam call, reviewed it, and they have determined that it indeed hit the pole. It's now a 35 pitch inning, and that is a ball. 35th pitch of the inning for Bedard. J.J. Hardy on deck. Apparently the high home camera angle, the definitive look for the umpires to rule that a grand slam.
Well, that's what scares you about this lineup. Talked about it early. The big inning, home runs, aided by a, let's see, base hit by Scope. Then there was then you had the walk to Pierce.
Yeah, you got the walk,
yep,
wild pitch, a hit batter,
yep,
all of that in front of Chris Davis,
who you jump out ahead of. 2 strikes.
Nelson Cruz lifts the fly ball to right off a 3-2 pitch. Joyce makes the catch. So 2 outs now in the 3rd.
Shortstop, J.J. Hardy.
J.J. Hardy with 2 outs and 5 runs across the plate. This is equal to what the Orioles have been averaging recently over a 2-game spread. They've scored 5 in 1 inning here. They've been averaging 2.7 runs a game for about the last week and a half.
When you go back over their last 18 games, the pitching staff has been very good. 13 times they've given up 2 earned runs or fewer. Overall numbers are very good, yet the record just 9-9, and it speaks to that problem, just not being able to score runs consistently enough. No problem here early on.
Three balls and a strike. Fouled back, so full count. Bedard now has had 5 full counts in this inning. Starting with Markakis. He's singled. Pierce full count walked. Jones full count hit by a pitch. Cruz full count hit the fly ball to right, and now Hardy is 3rd out on the pop to Escobar at short. 5 runs score. 4 coming on the grand slam by Chris Davis. Umpires had to review it. Determined it was a fair ball off the pole. 5-0 Baltimore. Top of the 3rd with a grand slam, a pitch that required 44 pitches, and Davis hitting his 12th home run The slam capping the 5-run effort. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. Here's Sean Rodriguez. And he gets hold of this one high and deep, and that one is gone. He hit it off the ring, and that's going to be a home run. Wow.
Yeah, they're calling. Sean Rodriguez not stopping. That ball was absolutely crushed.
That one off the C ring and fair. Hits either of the 2 back rings. It's a home run. Buck Showalter wants to come out and talk it over with Ron Kulpa, but that's pretty clear. And with the ground rules being what they are, this is without question a home run. C ring, fair ball, home run. Seventh home run for Sean Rodriguez, and boy, did he get into that one.
Center fielder Desmond Jennings.
Now Desmond Jennings takes a pitch low and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Strike 1-1. Well, the Rays get one of those runs back, and it's early. Gonzalez coming back off the DL. Sean Rodriguez trails only Evan Longoria on this team in home runs. Evan has 8, and Sean Rodriguez now with 7.
Well, making the most of limited opportunities. There was a while there he was leading the team.
There's a shot. High and deep to left, and this one is gone. Back-to-back home runs. Rodriguez and now Desmond Jennings, and it's 5-2.
That's going to do a couple of things. First of all, that's going to bolster the confidence of this Rays offense. Still got 7 innings worth of outs to go, and have already almost cut this lead in half.
Well, there's 2 of them back.
You're going to get pitches to hit. We talked about it early. That's a split that didn't do much of anything except ride right into the swing of Jennings and get cast as a souvenir.
First pitch to Matt Joyce is inside. 1 ball and no strikes. So the Rays get back-to-back home runs from those 2 gentlemen right there, Sean Rodriguez and Desmond Jennings.
And if you could peer through all of those bodies, you see Jim Hickey on the phone down to the bullpen, because I think if the Rays starting to tighten this up, you may get some bodies working down there. Going through the scenarios right now with Stan Borowski.
Nobody out, 2 runs home. Joyce now behind in the count. Rays 3 times on the year now have hit back-to-back home runs. The last time was against the Marlins, and that came on June the 4th. Longoria and Zobrist went back-to-back tonight. It's Rodriguez and Jennings. It's out of play, holding the count at 1-2. Longoria is on deck. It's foul. It will again be out of play, third base side. Miss. Joyce out on strikes. That'll be the first strikeout for Gonzalez tonight.
Now watch the grip right here as he pulls it out of his glove and comes up over. That little split changeup. Better finish on this one. The one to Desmond Jennings stayed flat and was hammered. This one working its way down to the dirt and the swing and a miss.
Goria takes a pitch upstairs. There's a slider that stayed up.
Yeah, there have been a number of pitches that have not gotten where Gonzalez wants them, whether it be the fastball, that missed slider. A lot of hittable pitches.
1-1, and right now it's a 3-run game. Well, that turns the psychology of this game around. 5-0, now 5-2. With plenty of time left. Ground ball deep short. Grabbed by Hardy. Throw to first in time.
Tell you, J.J. Hardy, not flashy, but how solid is he at shortstop? He doesn't chrome many things up, really doesn't chrome anything up. He just makes play after play after play. And he always has just enough arm to finish the play. When he needs to put a little bit more on it like he did here.
Two gone. Here's James Loney. Fouls it for a strike. Loney walked in the first. His average right now at 279. He's looking to get on a bit of a streak to get that average up for 290 and start to push 300.
Well, he needs a little revenge for what happened last year, ending the season at 299. Well, you do all that work over 6 months, and you're like, really? 1 point?
Liner into center field. Jones charges, and that ball is by him. Got a little piece of it. Well, he thought he was going to catch that ball and found it just dipping a little bit and getting back of him.
Yeah, he should have caught it. His jump on this line drive was outstanding. He was almost moving before this ball was hit. A great jump, and then he just beats it up and does not make the play, doesn't finish it. Right off the side of the glove. Watch the jump, though. He's already off and running.
Here's Ben Zobrist. The ground ball to Scope at second. So the Rays are finished in the third. They get back-to-back home runs from Rodriguez and Jennings. They scored 2 on 2 hits, 1 error, and a man left. 5-2 Baltimore. Rodriguez and Desmond Jennings in the third, getting the Rays right back in this game. We go to the fourth with Manny Machado leading off for Baltimore. Eric Bedard opening the fourth after a 44-pitch inning in the third. The pitch is a strike. Machado, Scope, and Joseph due up. Machado 0 for 1, hit a fly ball to left his first time. Bounds it back, 0-2.
Well, that's what you figured right here. Joe Maddon getting Kirby Yates back up with the Rays trimming that lead to 3. Plenty of time left. You're going to need to put up some zeros.
Fouled. Still an 0-2 count. Big blow in the top of the fourth. The third career grand slam for Chris Davis, his first this year. He drop out of play, back into the stands. So the Orioles with 5 runs, 3 hits, an error. The ball that Loney hit to center. A line drive, an error charge to Jones, his 4th of the year. The Rays 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors. High fly ball down the left field side, and DeJesus inside the line makes the catch for the out. Towering fly ball down there. Let's check in with Kelly right now. Kelly, how you doing?
Great, Dwayne. Thank you so much. Kids, if you're listening and you're looking for a fun and free way to come out to the ballpark to see your Rays, check out the Reading with the Rays program. It's in its 7th year running. Evan Longoria there once again, the face of it. And you see him reading there to his daughter, Elle. He brought her along today to the main library in St. Petersburg. Getting things kicked off this week, he's been pretty busy, and participating is really as easy as picking up a game card at any public library. And all you have to do, kids, over the summer is read 24 hours worth. It's as easy as that.
The Rays in the community. Scope at the plate. The pitch is fouled back and out of play. 1-1. That's an important part of the mission statement of the Rays here, being in the community. And with that in mind, we'd like to send along a hello and best wishes to Jim Clements, a great Rays fan over at Homosassa, and his daughters want him to know that they're with him. He's been under the weather, but a big Rays fan, and pulling for the Rays to mount a comeback in this one. 1-2 and a cut to miss. Scope out on strikes. Fastball in on him, and that's number 3 for Bedard.
Now Eric Bedard able to get this ball right here to run in. You see that ball just kept tracking right towards Scope, and the swing ties him up.
Now the catcher, Caleb Joseph. There's a strike. One ball, one strike. Bedard came into this game with a 3-4 record and an earned run mark of 3.83. Taking a bit of a dent there with that 5-run third, but he's back out here in the 4th, and he's retired the first 2.
Well, that would certainly be helpful to the Rays' cause to have a quick 0, get the offense back in, back at work.
Foul out of play. The count squares at 2-2. Nick Markakis on deck. Chop left side. Escobar with the throw on the money. Joseph, the catcher's out of there. 1, 2, 3, go the Orioles. Bottom of the fourth coming, 5-2 Baltimore. Coming in to bat in the bottom of the fourth inning. It's now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Well, that could be key for Eric Bedard coming back to give the Rays another inning in the fourth. He's made 88 pitches through 4. 44 of those in the third and 44 in the other 3 innings combined. And the Rays hitting a couple of home runs off Miguel Gonzalez, so they're right in this game.
Yeah, and if you can get Eric Bedard, you maybe get another inning out of him, get through the 5th, and then you can start to tack on the back end of that Rays bullpen to keep it at 5 runs. Now, they had a big comeback victory in Houston, falling behind early, chipping their way back and winning that game, so nothing out of the ordinary. And here the added bonus of playing at home and having last at bat.
Well, here's David DeJesus to lead off the bottom of the fourth. Good to see him up there after colliding with the wall in left field on the slam by Chris Davis.
Boy, he was going after that baseball. He had one thought in mind, and that was to make a catch for his team, and the wall got him before he could get to that baseball.
It's a strike. It's 1-1. Take a look at him going into that wall again and look around the right shoulder area.
And watch his eyes. You see his eyes the whole way. He never looked for that wall. All over that baseball. That is quite the impact right there.
Line drive into center. There's a base hit. So the Rays put the leadoff man aboard. That gives DeJesus 2 for 2. So they're only a base runner away from getting the potential tying run to the plate. And when Davis hit that slam to make it 5-0, people had to be wondering, is it going to be one of those kind of nights? Well, the Rays have battled back here a bit. There's Escobar. Cutting the foul ball. Gonzalez has not been a big ground ball pitcher, although he did get the double play ground ball out of Escobar in the second inning. His career ground ball rate is under 40%.
Yeah. I mean, what you could see, not a lot of sink on the fastball. He'll get some run to it. He does have that split, but that has not worked out as far as a big ground ball pitch for him. He doesn't throw it nearly as much as some other guys do with that late action down. The righty on righty, the slider is the best pitch for him for a ground ball. There it was.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he got Escobar on the first time. That pitch has a little bit of depth to it. The right-handed hitter, if you throw it in the correct spot, down and away, they're reaching for it. The ball's moving down. You've got a real good opportunity there to keep the ball on the ground. I don't know if you'd rather have any other infield to be able to attempt to turn a double play. They're by far and away the best in the major leagues.
They've had a lot of practice at it, that's for sure. One ball, 2 strikes, the pitch up.
And it's interesting, too, because when you think about this Baltimore pitching staff, you know, some of their bullpen guys have good ground ball numbers, but the starters who are going to get the majority of the innings, not a lot of sinker ball pitchers. Maybe not any.
So Escobar fouls that one out of play.
But that ball. Another pitch, though, that I'm telling you, Miguel Gonzalez has given the Rays every opportunity to do what they're doing, and that is to continue to put pressure on and get back into this game. A lot of pitches, and really bad spot for the pitcher, really good spot for the hitters.
Two and two. Miguel Gonzalez just off the disabled list. Out there for the first time since May the 30th. He had an oblique strain that put him on the sideline. High chop down to third. Fair ball. Machado's long throw is in time. And DeJesus moves into second.
Didn't think they had a chance to get Escobar. Another chop that we see out in front of home plate here. There have been a number of those between the end of last homestand and the beginning of this one. And this is high. It's down the line. Machado has to wait for it. And then he has to make a very long throw. And still plenty of time to get Yunel Escobar. He's going hard, but a little bit too much on the throw.
So DeJesus now in scoring position for Jose Molina. Pitch is down. Molina popped to the second baseman his first time around. 1 RBI on the year for Molina. And a chance to pick up another one here. 1. Oh, 32 with men in scoring position. Jesus trying to be a distraction out there at second base. One the count on Molina. He fouls it.
I'm just fascinated by the bird that's made its way from the Rays dugout to the Baltimore Oriole dugout, now down beyond the Rays bullpen. I think it just went to the Rays tunnel. There we go.
Ground ball chopped toward the stands. Holds the count of the ball in 2 strikes.
Looking for the best seat in the house.
And Molina takes a fastball for strike 3.
Boy, I'll tell you, Miguel Gonzalez right there looked like he sped up his delivery. He came set, a quick look, and everything lickety split there by Gonzalez. Right here, a quick look, and then boom, he's going to get rid of it quick. Quick leg kick, quick delivery, catches Molina by surprise. Location of the pitch, not that bad either.
Now Sean Rodriguez, who homered to get the Rays on the board to lead off the bottom of the 3rd. DeJesus continues to bounce back and forth off second base, and Gonzalez just stepped right back off the mound. He's certainly dividing his attention.
Well, he's got nobody holding him on. J.J. Hardy is way deep. Jonathan Scope nowhere near, and that's why that's allowed David DeJesus to kind of do what he wants to out there.
There's ball 1 to Sean Rodriguez.
When you see the Baltimore defense, and that's what these runners will do. They'll take a look behind them, look where the outfielders are set up, look where the infielders are set up, and there's just no one there to hold him on, so he can dance around and try to get into the head of Miguel Gonzalez.
And a cut and a miss. Ball gets away from Joseph, and over to third base goes DeJesus.
Well, that was a breaking ball there. Swung and missed that. See the curveball here with good depth gets under the glove of Joseph, and now, boy, that just adds a little something into the mind of Miguel Gonzalez. If he wants to try to put Sean Rodriguez away, if he gets to that point, try to make a good breaking ball pitch that's going to be down in the zone. His catcher just whiffed one there.
Pass ball charged to Joseph. 1-1 to count on Sean Rodriguez. Cut and a miss. Well, that pretty nice pitch right there. Was out there and then broke away from him. Down and away.
Now the curveball to the slider. And he was victimized by that fastball that he left right out over the middle of the plate that Sean Rodriguez turned into an egg. Hit that ball so hard. Now all of a sudden getting the off-speed stuff.
Missed it again. He went right back to it. He got strike 2 with it, got strike 3 with it. The Rays leave a man at third. No runs ahead. On to the 5th. 5-2.
Orioles as we head into the 5th inning. For the Rays, Jeremy Hellickson tonight was his 3rd scheduled rehab start. He made 1 at the Florida State League level with the Charlotte Stonecrafts. Now the last 2 with the Durham Bulls. Last time lasted just 2 innings plus and allowed 4 runs. Tonight, the Louisville Bats brought out the bats. 12 hits against Helly in 2 2/3 innings, 76 pitches, did throw strikes 51. But a tough outing for Hellickson as he gives up 7 runs. 4 of those were earned. There still is no determination on whether or not he'll need that 4th start for his rehab assignment, but based on his recent results, it might happen. Guys, back to you.
That's not the kind of numbers that they'd like to see. It's one thing to get some work and build your way back, but frankly, those are not by any stretch encouraging numbers for Hellickson.
No. I mean, I don't know how you spin them other than to go with what Todd said, and that is he threw a lot of strikes that apparently were put into play fairly.
Well, got 76 pitches in, got some work in.
Well, and here's the other thing. From the organizational point of view, you want Jeremy Hellickson sharp and throwing the ball well before he comes back. But from his point of view, you want to come back to the big leagues on a roll.
There's a shot by Markakis into center field. It's going to roll to the wall. Markakis heads to second and stops with a leadoff double. His 14th double of the year. Well, this is what you want to stop because the Rays have closed to within 3, and now the Orioles have a man in scoring position to lead off the inning on that breaking ball, and so Joe Madden will come out to make a pitching change. Bedard gives the Rays 4 innings plus and departs. Coming on, the rivalries, the giveaways, the concerts. The choice is yours with the Rays Flex Pack. Select any 3, 6, or 9 games and enjoy member-only rewards all season long. Introductory prices start at just $49. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Turned out to be a very popular item, the Flex Packs. And here's Kirby Yates making his 4th appearance, this one in relief of the veteran left-hander Eric Bedard.
Kirby Yates coming at you with a fastball low. He'll get up into the mid-90s at 93. He'll sweep the breaking ball, a changeup.
As Yates enters this game over in Detroit, the Kansas City Royals have a 9-2 lead on the Tigers in the top of the 5th. Max Scherzer giving up all 9 earned, and he's out of the game 4 innings plus.
How about the fortunes of both of those teams. I mean, Kansas City, having won 8 in a row, certainly looks like they're going to make it 9. And Detroit, who had a huge lead, Max Scherzer getting beat up today. Justin Verlander has been struggling mightily with a loss of velocity on his fastball. He was roughed up last night.
Well, Kansas City, if they win this one, they'll go into first place by a half game in the AL Central.
What a turnaround in that division. A few weeks ago, Detroit was running away with it, and look at it now.
And here's the thing about the Tigers: if they lose tonight, they're 500 at home. At home. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pierce bounces this one foul. Eric Bedard, 4 innings plus. Gave up 4 hits, 5 runs. Responsible for the Markakis at second. 3 strikeouts and 2 walks. The big blow was the grand slam by Chris Davis. There's strike 3 call. Yates on a fastball clocked at 94. It's Pierce.
And Kirby Yates just buries this fastball. You see that arm angle where he just lets that thing rip right to the corner. Great pitch. That pitch he can throw out there with precision. He can throw it arm side to get some run, sweep the breaking ball. Tremendous numbers in Durham, and obviously in the little time that we've seen here up with the Rays, have really liked what we've seen.
He faces Adam Jones. He's hit by a pitch. Takes this one inside. A fastball close. 1-0. More on the Tigers-Royals game. Scherzer in that game made 51 pitches in the second inning. And that's the highest pitch count a Tiger pitcher's had in 13 years. We had Bedard in the third inning tonight with 44. Scherzer made 51 in the second inning. The Tiger game at home against Kansas City. 2-0 now, the count on Jones.
A little bit too much arm side run there for Yates. The one thing that Adam Jones wants to do is get his arms extended. Pitches down in the zone, pitches in the middle of the zone, away from him.
Fly ball the opposite way. Joyce lines up to make the catch, tagged by Markakis, and he will advance to third. Jones out number 2.
No, you'll take that, a fly ball by Jones.
Number 19.
2-0 count. Adam Jones, his pitch sinking back to towards the middle of the plate. Not liking the result.
Now Chris Davis will be intentionally walked. Boy, that's a strategy the Rays might use all the time with this guy here at the Trop. He has 22 runs batted in 19 games here at the Trop.
You go back, Dwayne, to the beginning of last year, the 3-game series that the Orioles started here and that grand slam, and 15 of them have come in 4 games.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah, I mean, bases loaded or not, go ahead, take your one.
So he'll get the intentional walk, setting up men at first and third. This is how much you respect him. I mean, he's got Nelson Cruz behind him now. And as we take a look at the cold hard facts brought to you by Frostbrewed Coors Light, this is where he ranks this year. First in the majors in home runs, first in the majors in runs batted in, with total bases 155 first.
And you're walking somebody to get to him.
Yeah.
That's...
How about that?
Well, obviously, Joe liking the Yates-Cruz matchup right on right.
And a chopper to short. Escobar to Zobrist for the force on Davis. Had them all along. We go to the bottom of the fifth. It's 5-2 Baltimore. Sports is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By AT&T, mobilizing your world. By Checkers. Checkers brings big flavor for a small price. Feed your craving for quality for only $1. Cha-ching. And by T-Mobile, Tuesday Night Baseball. Rays come in to hit in the bottom of the fifth inning, featuring the top of the lineup. Here's Desmond Jennings. Desmond homered in the third, part of a back-to-back home run outcropping by Rodriguez and Jennings to get the Rays on the board. See what they can do in the fifth inning here against Miguel Gonzalez. It's a ball and a strike count. Two balls and a strike. And Joyce on deck. High foul up the right side, and that ball will be just back and out of play. 2-2 in the game tonight and all season long. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. A couple of those tonight. Third time the Rays have hit back-to-back home runs this year. Ooh, strike three call. Well, there wasn't much chance of getting a low strike early, but there's one.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Dwayne. First inning or two, nothing on either side, and then we've started to see that pitch open up a little bit, and that is a pretty good pitch there by Gonzalez in a great spot.
It's 3 consecutive strikeouts for Gonzalez. He got the last 2, Molina and Rodriguez, to end the fourth. Here's Matt Joyce ripping one fair. down into the right field corner. Markakis will have to go get it, and Joyce will stop at second with a double. That's Matt's second hit tonight, giving him 2 for 3.
Well, you know what? Miguel Gonzalez, he's been inconsistent with that changeup tonight. You know, he gave up a home run to Desmond Jennings on one. He then struck out Matt Joyce on one. And then coming back here, starting this at bat with one that just stayed flat and middle, and Matt hammered it. So another hittable pitch for this Rays lineup, and they jump on it. A 1-out double, another opportunity with a runner out in scoring position.
Evan Longoria, nothing out of 2 tonight. It's a strike. Rays nothing out of 3 with runners in scoring position so far tonight. Evan tries to take that one the other way and fouls it out of play. Puts him down 0-2. Evan with a career home run off Gonzalez, but down 2 strikes right now. It's outside. 1-2. Top of the 5th in New York. Yankees have a 2-1 lead on the Blue Jays. Brett Gardner had a 2-run home run in that game, his 5th of the season. One and 2. Little number foul toward the on deck circle.
Boy, nice job by Evan to stay alive there on a breaking ball. That's all you want to do now is try to buy yourself some time until you get another pitch to hit. A good breaking ball here by Gonzalez, but a nice job by Evan to get that swing lengthened just a little bit and foul that ball right off the end. And get another opportunity here is Caleb Joseph going over with Gonzalez what they want to do here.
Man in scoring position, that's Matt Joyce. The 1-2. The high chopper down to third. Fair ball, long throw. This one will not be in time. That's an infield hit for Evan Longoria. A chopper to third. Another chopper. And Buck Showalter wants to come out to talk about this one. Matt Hoberg down there, the umpire.
Becoming commonplace. Machado's got to get rid of it in a hurry. But I think that Evan Longoria, the correct call was made. I think he did beat it. You got to wait for it to come down. Yep, he's there.
A couple of close calls, both at third and at first there on the fair foul. That was a fair ball. And a close play at first. And apparently we're going to take a look at that one. Buck Showalter using the challenge.
Well, I think here with Buck Showalter too, you know, you're close enough to that cutoff where you get your challenge, you know, through the first early part of the game, and then from the 7th inning on you can request a challenge if you're out of them. So you close here in the 5th inning, a close play like that, take a shot, see what happens. But I think this is going to be a quick one. Evan was there. Yeah, see the ball still not even inside the circumference of the glove, let alone the back of it, and Evan's foot right on top of the bag.
So it would appear that the Rays will have been at first and second. Challenge underway. Play under review here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Well, the call stands. Ball stands. Safe at first. Joyce remains at second.
Number 21, James Loney. Got some game from my ex. She might say she love me, she don't love me like she says she love me.
Now James Loney. Loney's been on twice tonight with a walk and hit a line drive to center that was misplayed by Jones. Loney becomes the potential tying run with the Rays trailing 5-2. Into the dirt, blocked by Joseph. Loney right now 3 of 16 in his career against Miguel Gonzalez. Takes it the other way. That ball's toward the left field corner. Will stay in play. Joyce scores. Longoria's headed to the plate. Throws not in time. Into second base with a double Loney. And it's a 1-run ball game. Big double for Loney. And the Rays have closed the gap to a single run.
And I know that the Rays offense has been struggling, but watching Miguel Gonzalez tonight, this is, I don't want to say expected, but it's not really a surprise. There have been way too many pitches that have been right there out over the plate. And these Rays hitters have taken full advantage, climbing all the way back, completely turned this game around.
There's Ben Zobrist with Loney at second. And that's strike one on Ben. Rays now 1 out of 4 tonight with men in scoring position. Ben trying to pick up Loney off second. It's low. Ball 1 strike. Gonzalez a little over 80 pitches tonight. Zobrist fouls it back. 1-2. Foul ball right there. Count remains 1-2. Let's start to get some action. That's Ryan Webb up in the bullpen for the Orioles. Zobrist, fly ball to center, ground ball to second. Behind in the count in the 5th. Takes it the other way, and that's a foul ball. Will be out of play. That's some distance on that one, but well fouled. You don't miss tomorrow's Wednesday showdown presented by Mazda as the Rays take on the Orioles right here on Sun Sports at 12:30. Alex Cobb will be going to the Hill for the Rays tomorrow afternoon.
And Cobb threw the ball very well his last time out against the Astros, and he's got great numbers against the Orioles.
There's strike 3 called. A fastball over the inside part of the plate. Catches Zobrist looking.
Well, good pitch there by Miguel Gonzalez. And then working Ben Zobrist down on the count, away. And then pop that fastball in, trying to get out of this inning while maintaining a lead.
David DeJesus is 2 for 2 tonight. Couple of base hits, including one off the glove of the pitcher Gonzalez in the second inning. Gonzalez now at 87 pitches. This will be his 20th pitch of this inning. Takes it wide. Tenth career start for Gonzalez against the Rays. 3-3 against him in his career. And we've got a 1-run game. He was staked to a 5-0 lead. Rays back to make it 5-4. He picks up the corner.
Well, and now it becomes a sprint to the finish. You put yourself in where every guy that comes to the plate is the potential tying run. And a base hit here, you would imagine, would tie this game up. And now all of a sudden you're going to start playing that battle of the bullpens. Here we go.
The 1-1. In off the plate, 2 balls and a strike.
And really, that's all you could ask for if you were the Rays. When you fall down 5-0 as early as they did, you're thinking, okay, let's climb back in and give ourselves a chance at the end. Well, here you are midway through the game, and you've already got that chance. Got to feel pretty good if you're in that dugout right now, even though you're still down by 1.
The 2-1 pitch. 3 balls and a strike. Well, pretty good looks here by DeJesus to gain the advantage in the count. They're going to walk him now with Escobar due next and first base open. 3 balls and a strike. So an intentional walk issued to David DeJesus. Escobar will be the hitter, and we're going to get a visit to the mound from Dave Wallace, the Baltimore pitching coach, before they pitch to Escobar. Escobar with 4 home runs on the year. His 4th came last night in the very first inning. Hit it out down the left field line.
Mislocation quick on the inner half. And you're going to have to be quick if you're Yanel Escobar, because he moves up in the box, and he's one of those guys. A lot of guys dig out that back line. Not Yanel Escobar. He is up in the box, close to the plate. See that front foot already threatening the front of that batter's box.
And the first pitch is a breaking ball that catches the zone on the outside part of the plate.
And Gonzalez, he's not afraid to go curveball, slider, curveball. You see Escobar's setup right there.
It's been bouncing away, but Joseph keeps it in front of him. No opportunity to advance on that for Loney. Loney's at second. DeJesus is at first.
You see Joseph able to flip that glove over and keep that ball somewhat close. No advancement.
The 1-1. Ground ball headed to short. Hardy's throw is to first, and the Rays will settle for two. But they close the gap. James Loney's 2-base hit scores Joyce and Longoria. And through 5, it's 5-4 Baltimore. It's a one-run ball game after Baltimore jumped to a 5-0 lead. A grand slam hitting the pole down the left field side for Chris Davis. Capped that 5-run inning. The Rays came right back when Sean Rodriguez in the bottom of the third opened with a home run. And Desmond Jennings followed with his 6th home run of the season. Home run for Rodriguez, his 7th. The Rays got 2 in the 5th. James Loney doubling home Joyce and Longoria, and it's 5-4 as this game swings into the 6th inning.
Boy, completely turn this game around. That Rays offense answering in the 3rd. You love that. Tacking on in the 5th. Now just a 1-run down, 4 innings to play.
J.J. Hardy will lead it off in the 6th. Which is outside. Kirby Yates on in relief. He came on after the double by Markakis in the 5th. Popped up. It's back and foul. Out of play. 1-1. Rays won last night 5-4. The Orioles lead 5-4 tonight. Another foul ball out of play. Twice Hardy has lifted the ball into the air. Right field in the 2nd. Shortstop in the 3rd. Behind 1 and 2 now. Drives it up the right side. That's out of play.
He's been awfully short in the power department this year.
How about that?
Look at those home run numbers from the last 3.
No home runs at all for Hardy this year. 16 doubles. Two and two. There you go. 22 and 25 home runs the last 2 years. And to cut the miss, he's out on strikes. 1 away here in the 6th. Bring the family out to Tropicana Field Sunday, June 22nd, to see the Rays take on the Astros. Kids 14 and under will receive a Ben Zobrist plastic bat and ball set presented by Dex Imaging while supplies last. Sundays also feature lots of fun family activities courtesy of the Tampa Bay Times. For tickets, visit RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS. 1-0 the count to Machado. It's in there for a strike, now 1-1. We're talking about all those home runs that Hardy had hit in his career. He's gone 84 games without one now. Liner into left, and right there to catch it, David DeJesus. Machado is the second out.
Well, Machado, a nice job of getting underneath that pitch. Hit it hard, hit it on a line, but David DeJesus ranging in and to his left. Able to make that play. And Yates 1 out away from closing this inning out.
Yeah, BA, we were talking about all those home runs.
Yeah.
He had an even bigger home run year his first year in Baltimore.
He did. We saw that graphic, 22 and 25. The year prior, 2011, he had 30.
Yep, he sure did.
Well, this is a guy that for a stretch, for those couple of years, most home runs from the shortstop position in baseball, and nothing this year.
Yeah, he's gone twice as long now between home runs as he ever has in his career. Scope fouls it out of play. 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. Scope out of there. Missed the fastball. That one hit 94. Bottom of the 6th coming. 5-4 Baltimore. As the captain, Derek Jeter, takes the field in his last All-Star game ever in what promises to be an emotional and unforgettable night. Special coverage begins at 4:30 on Fox Sports 1, followed by the 2014 All-Star game at 7:30 on Fox. Ryan Webb will be the new pitcher. 5 innings for Miguel Gonzalez, 4 runs, 8 hits. And Webb takes over for the Baltimore Orioles.
On for the 31st time, 29 innings of work, 23 strikeouts, but Ryan Webb more of the ground ball pitcher. And the Orioles do have a few of those coming out of that bullpen. Good sinker.
Webb out of Clearwater Central Catholic High School. And he'll face Jose Molina as the Rays open the bottom of the 6th inning. This pitch is a fastball too low. Molina 0 for 2 tonight. Has struck out and popped out. Sean Rodriguez will be next, and then Desmond Jennings. Webb misses outside. 2-0. Webb signing a 2-year deal with the Orioles this past offseason. Brad Boxberger up in the bullpen now for the Rays. Takes the count to 2-1. Webb originally in the Oakland A's system. He was the 4th round pick in 2004. Made it to the big leagues with San Diego in 2009. Slider in there, and the count is 2-2.
Sinker, and there's the slider. And this one actually hangs up and out over the plate. Get the strike out of it, but not a quality strike.
Fly ball into left field. Cruz is there and makes the catch. Doing the same kind of slider right there.
Yeah, I mean, another hittable pitch. That ball hung out there. Molina put a swing on it, but couldn't get it over the head out there of Nelson Cruz and left.
So with 1 away, Sean Rodriguez will bat, and we'll check in right now with Todd.
Dwayne, you know, on Friday nights, the Rays have been holding these ticket tandem promotions. Basically, if you get a ticket for that game and you go on RaysBaseball.com/tandems, you get an exclusive item you can't get anywhere else. This Friday, you'll get this Rays duffel bag. It's got the burst on the one side. It's got the Rays light blue that they wear on Sundays for home games. You got a little shoulder strap right here, courtesy of the Tampa Bay Times, as Sean Rodriguez grounds out to second base for the second out. But it's a really cool item. You can get some stuff in there. A little duffel bag action working this Friday night. Go to RaysBaseball.com/tandems. Shoulder strap too. Did I mention that? Guys, back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. That is a very utilitarian item right there, and good looking.
It is good looking. It went well with Todd's shirt. I do like that powder blue.
Yep.
Powder blue on Sundays a good. Powder blue any day is a good look. But I like that bag. I'll find a way to get me one. Maybe Todd, if you could run that up here, if you're still on.
Desmond Jennings taking the pitch high. 1 ball, no strikes. Todd delivered it. He folded it and packaged it.
How about that, D-Wayne?
There you go.
I mean, Todd's good, but who knew he was that good?
And talk about quick.
Yeah.
Look at that.
All the way. He already got it. Shoulder strap.
Hey.
He was very proud of the shoulder strap.
All you got to do is ask, and Todd is right there for you.
Delivers. Love that guy.
One ball, 2 strikes. Home run for Jennings came in the 3rd. 4 runs, 8 hits allowed by Gonzalez in the 5 innings he worked. We're in the bottom of the 6th right now. Two and two. Takes care of Jennings and the Rays. Webb strikes him out. 1, 2, 3 go the Rays. On to the 7th. 5-4 Baltimore. Sports is brought to you by Nissan. Get to your local Nissan store for the ride of your life and save big tonight. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by the Florida Department of Transportation, who reminds you to drive sober or get pulled over. We're at Tropicana Field tonight with the Rays and the Orioles meet in Game 2 of their 3-game series for the Rays. Game 2 of a 10-game homestand. The Orioles in here tomorrow afternoon. Brad Boxberger is pitcher number 3 for Joe Madden.
Well, Kirby Yates does his job. He's going to turn it over to Brad Boxberger, who comes on for the 24th time.
He faces the catcher Caleb Joseph. And fires a strike in there. Joseph has struck out and grounded out tonight. Bedard worked 4 innings plus. Yates 2 innings. Boxberger with a fastball for strike 2, 0-2.
Yeah, how about the first pitch, a changeup at 78, and then a low riding fastball at 94. It's not the way that Caleb Joseph envisioned this at-bat starting out.
Fastball, and he fouls that one down the right side and back. Out of play it goes. Top of the order, Nick Markakis next, and then Steve Pearce. One and two. Did he go? He held up. Rays wanted the appeal. And a check by Joseph.
Well, it's going to be close here. Off speed pitch down, and Caleb Joseph does a nice job of holding up on that pitch. You start to slow a hitter down like that, get him looking down, and pop that fastball.
Fouls this one off his foot.
Another
speed.
Yep, another one. Well, Boxberger, he does have a good changeup, and there's a wide variance in velocity between that changeup and the fastball. Also has the breaking ball that he will sweep. And a nice addition to the Rays bullpen. Has gotten some big outs for this team.
Fly ball deep the other way. Joyce goes back to the wall, and that ball's going to fall at the base of the fence. Joseph winds up at second with a double. And suddenly the Orioles have a man in scoring position to open the inning.
You know, as soon as Matt Joyce started to drift on that ball, you knew it had the potential to be trouble. And Joseph hits his ball pretty hard, but you see right here he's kind of trying to find it, and once he gets turned around, cannot get all the way back to it. Well, that hurts right there. Just off the glove, too, after all that work to try to find your way to the baseball.
So Joseph is aboard, and now Boxberger must deal with the top of the order. Markakis pops it up left side. That's Escobar coming in. One away. So a big out to get Markakis on one pitch following the double. Steve Pearce. Pearce has walked twice, scored a run. Ball, no strikes. Down the left field side, and that ball is caught. Boy, he is strong and powered that one out of here. His fifth home run of the year, a 2-run blast, and again the Rays trailed by 3. 7-4 now.
Well, Steve Pearce in the 2 spot in the lineup, the right-handed hitter against the lefty. Bedard as the starter. Stays in here against Boxberger, gets a pitch that is elevated, middle in, and boy, he popped that thing. That was high and ended up being too deep for the Rays' liking.
Well, he got that one inside the left field foul pole. Chris Davis hit his slam and hit the pole. There's Adam Jones, and the pitch is a strike.
You remember Steve Pearce really burst onto the scene for the Orioles last year. Spring training, hit 10 home runs, forced his way onto that roster. So you know that he's got good juice, and he showed it there.
Well, here's a guy who was signed as a free agent by them on the 29th of April after they had released him. He was designated for assignment on the 22nd, released on the 27th, hung around, and they re-signed him on the 29th because they had some injuries.
I think that was the Chris Davis injury when he missed some time and they needed some help at first base.
Yeah.
And
so one day he's released, 2 days later the same team signs him. And he's just given him a little cushion with a 2-run homer in the 7th tonight. 2-2 to Adam Jones. He scored after he was hit by a pitch in the 3rd, rode home on the grand slam by Chris Davis. There's Davis on deck. And the off-speed pitch against Jones for the second out.
First baseman, Chris Davis.
Davis, a grand slam in the third. Tonight's T-Mobile game changer. And it came on an 0-2 pitch.
0-2 elevated away, and how in the world he kept that thing fair. Obviously off the pole, it was barely fair, as you see DeJesus hard into the wall, and Culpa with the call coming from New York.
One strike on Davis in the 7th inning. Ball, strike 2.
As you see right there, as Molina was getting ready to receive that pitch, he was telling Boxberger he wanted it up in the zone. They stay with the heater.
One ball, 2 strikes. Up out of the zone there. The 0-2 pitch. And Davis out on strikes. Hard stuff there. 2 strikeouts in the inning, but 2 runs on the Steve Pearce home run. Ball game moving into the bottom of the 7th inning, so they right now find themselves in a situation where they're going to have to battle back again. This is what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Alex Cobb goes to the hill, and Orestes on the pregame will be breaking down Adam Jones. Matt Joyce, who doubled to start a 2-run 5th inning, will open the 7th. The Rays needing at least 3 to pull even. They're trailed by as many as 5 tonight. Pitch to Matt is a strike. Ryan Webb came on to pitch the 6th inning. Retired the Rays 1, 2, 3. It's Joyce, Longoria, and Loney due up in the 7th. One and one. A 2-hit night for Matt so far. Average up over 270. High 2-1. His on base percentage at 258 right now. Action in the bullpen. O'Day, the tall right-hander. Mattis, the lefty. Now 2-2. Rays have Grant Balfour up in their bullpen. Chop the middle there, and Hardy's there to make the play. Shaded that way already. One gone.
Designated hitter, Evan Longoria.
Now Evan Longoria. Angels have a 7-2 lead in the bottom of the 8th at Cleveland. Mike Trout's had a big night, 2 home runs, numbers 15 and 16, and a double, and 4 runs batted in. Evan Longoria looks at a strike.
And the Rays running up out of opportunities here. 8 outs to go. And the deeper that you get into this Baltimore bullpen, you get that arm angle of O'Day. You start to think about Zach Britton and that left-handed sinker, heavy sinker, one of the best you'll see.
To chop down to third, Machado makes that play. Just about even with the bag, so 2 up, 2 down. James Loney due up, and Buck Showalter pops out of the dugout. He's making a quick walk to the mound. He's going to make a pitching change. Baseball night in America on Fox as the Braves take on Bryce Harper and the Nationals. Then the Rangers take on Mike Trout and the Angels over on Fox Sports 1. Our MLB doubleheader begins Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox and continues at 10 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Ryan Mattis, the lefty, on to face James Loney with 2 outs and the bases empty in the Rays' half of the 7th. Foul out of play.
Well, Brian Mattis, if you go back from the beginning of 2012, he was 3rd in the majors, allowing just 12.2% of inherited runners to score, and that's exactly what he did last night coming in. Jerry Sands got to face Jerry Sands, the runner on, and how that ended.
1-1 now to Loney.
Get those gloves on and get ready. And this is where the Rays, the guys that are on the bench right now, will start to go through their routine. They've already been hitting in the cage off of a tee. They have their routines down to be ready to go in case they're called upon in the late innings.
That puts Loney down in the count. 1-2. Has made a very successful transition into the bullpen a year ago. Came up as a starting pitcher. He made 32 starts for this team in 2010. It was 10-12. Loney fouls that one.
You think about both of the lefties in this pen. Zach Britton was another one of their big prospects as a starter. He made 28 starts in 2011. And boy, oh boy, he has transitioned to that power lefty with one of the best left-handed sinkers you will see at the velocity that he throws. So impressive. You look at the breakout on Britton, the Rays having to get a chance to see him. 72 ground balls to 7 fly balls.
How about that? That's unbelievable.
That really is.
Until you see him pitch.
Right, and then it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. Loney is out on strikes, and the Rays are finished in the 7th. We'll head into the 8th. It's 7-4 Baltimore. Tonight's game summary brought to you by Chevy. See the big inning for Baltimore. 5 in the 3rd. 4 coming on the grand slam by Chris Davis. But the Rays jumped right back into this game when Rodriguez and Jennings went back-to-back with home runs. Rays trimmed the deficit to 1 with 2 in the 5th. And then the 2-run 7th inning for Baltimore. 2-run home run by Steve Pearce has made it 7-4. And as we go to the 8th, Grant Balfour is the 4th Rays pitcher. He'll face Nelson Cruz to begin the inning. The first pitch is a strike. Cruz, Hardy, And then Machado against Balfour here in the 8th.
Graham Balfour looking to get him back on the right path, build some confidence.
It's a 1-1 count, fastball just off the plate.
And, you know, if you're able to go through this part of the lineup here, you got Cruz, Hardy, nothing to sniff at. Machado usually hitting up in the lineup down there. This can start to help you out a little bit.
It's popped up right side. It's for Loney. He makes the catch. So that's the first out here in the 8th. And tomorrow afternoon, the wrap-up game of the series with Baltimore. Our starting pitchers presented by Chevron. Kevin Gausman, 2-1 for the Baltimore Orioles, one of their highly touted young pitchers, and Alex Cobb will be on the hill for the Rays, seeking his 3rd win. Pitch to J.J. Hardy in there for a strike. You know, confidence is such a big part, even in a guy like Balfour, as you referenced. He's a little confidence builder here. Guy's had great success as a closer. Into center field, Jennings is right there and makes the catch. Chatted with him in the parking lot last night after the game, and obviously disappointed with the outcome of that. He thought he made a couple pretty good pitches. Machado hit a slider for a base hit. He got 1 out and then was out of the game. But his mindset is, hey, you got to get right back out there and get some outs and right the ship.
Yeah, that's the challenge of this game. You know, if you're a position player, you have a bad day, you got to come right back there. It's the beauty of it too. You get to come right back and try to get it done. But especially for a pitcher coming out of the bullpen, and you've got to have a short-term memory. Obviously, he has that, being the closer the last couple of years for Oakland, temporarily out of that role right now with the Rays. And that's where building that confidence and good outings start to come into play.
1-1 the count to Machado. Lined out his last time, 0 for 3 tonight. Everything to the left side tonight for Machado. Bounds it back, 1-2. Fastball there from Balfour in at 92. Pop up right side. Loney's after it and comes up just short. Into the stands he goes. Count remains 1-2. Good effort by Loney here, finding his position and then coming up just a little short.
And you can see how tricky it is with all the, it's low wall number 1, and then all the different angles.
But if you're not careful, you'll wind up with a camera taking photographs down there while you're trying to catch a foul ball. One popped back, and that will carry out a play. So 2 outs in the 8th. Bedard worked 4 innings plus. Yates 2 very good innings. Boxberger pitched an inning, threw the ball well, touched for a 2-run home run. Brad Balfour, line drive and a base hit into right center for Machado. Jennings cuts it off. A 2-out single. Jonathan Scope approaches the plate.
See Machado sticking that head out there, staying down and through that baseball and staying behind it.
Scope takes ball 1.
You know, he did that to Grant last night. That base hit was up the middle, And it was on a slider that he stayed down and threw and shot that ball up the middle. Pretty good approach here against Grant.
One and one with that foul ball.
Good use of the hat.
Yeah.
Well played all around.
Yeah. It was old school with the hat.
Right to the lady friend. Boom.
All of that for my lady. Nice to see a happy couple.
Yeah. Well played, sir. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Look of confidence. 2-1 now. Machado back in at first. Now the count is 3 balls and a strike. Balfour retired Cruz and Hardy got ahead of Machado, who singled toward right center. 3-1 to Scope. He threw that one by him. Full count. Scope opened that 5-run third with a base hit. And is out on strikes here on the fastball. A couple of fastballs to strike out Scope. We go to the bottom of the 8th, 7-4. Again to bat in the bottom of the 8th inning. As promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. That's the way it's done.
I'm not sure that he had to point. But I get it.
Ben Zobrist turning around to bat from the right side. Brian Mattis, the lefty, on the mound. Throws a first pitch strike. 2. Cesar Ramos up in the Rays bullpen down the right field line. Ball and 2-strike count.
Pretty good numbers right there off Brian Mattis. Take that 350 average, the home run. In a spot here though at 1 and 2.
There's ball 2 to square the count. Darren O'Day in the bullpen for the Orioles.
Well, the Rays, all they want to do is put themselves in a position for a chance. That's going to take some work here, but not out of the question.
Liner up the right side. That's going to be a fair ball. One hop to the corner. Barehanded pickup by Markakis. It's a double for Ben Zobrist to start the Rays' 8th.
Well, he fell down quickly, 0-2. 2 breaking balls in the dirt. Get the count back to even. Mattis then comes back into the zone, and Ben Zobrist just shoots this ball to right. That ball's away. Not going to try and pull it. Let it get into the zone. Poke it down into the corner.
Logan Forsythe has been announced as the pinch hitter. And with that, Buck Showalter out to make a pitching change. Rays trying to get something going here, trailing by 3. They've got the leadoff double by Zobrist. Don't miss tomorrow's Wednesday showdown presented by Mazda. The Rays take on the Orioles 12:30 right here on Sun Sports. Darren O'Day is the new pitcher. Logan Forsythe had been announced as the pinch hitter for David DeJesus, and with O'Day out there, Rays will stay with the right-handed bat of Forsythe. Rays are down by 3. So the Rays need at least another base runner to get the potential tying run to the plate. Forsythe bunts and does so fouled. Strike 1.
Well, Logan trying to move Ben Zobrist up to third base. Worst case scenario, though, the one thing that you know with Darren O'Day, he's going to give you that, and you see the number breakout right there, but this is not your average righty. That arm angle, the way that he can sweep the ball away from the righties, he can run the fastball up in the zone even from the low arm angle.
One away, pops out of the mid of Joseph.
Yeah, and with a runner on second, a definite cross up there. And that's why you're going to get this visit right here to make sure that they're on the same page sign-wise. Caleb Joseph gets crossed up here on the fastball, and that's why it gets boxed.
Boston beat Minnesota 2-1. Lester, the winner, now 8-7. And Brock Holt went 2 for 4. He's now hitting .338.
I'll tell you what, when we got our first look at him here at Tropicana Field, even that was a series that the Rays swept the Red Sox. We liked what we saw out of Brock Holt. Obviously, he's keeping it going.
But sweeps wide. 2-1. Foul ball right back off Joseph. 2-2. Just the mask. Two. In on him and a foul ball. That pitch coming in on him that he fouls it.
See that late little movement in. Tried to hold up a little bit, but and ball right into the bat. And see if you sweep it away.
Rattles there and fouls it out of play up the right side.
Well, the challenge for the right-handed hitter against O'Day is to stay in there. That arm angle is a different look than you're going to get from just about every pitcher out there. And you've really got to force yourself to keep that front side in there to give yourself a chance.
And another foul ball as Forsythe trying his best to stay in there. O'Day has hit 4 batters this year, and that's one thing with his angle. You think if he didn't get that sweep, he might hit a few people, but your first move is to open up, which makes it a little bit more difficult then. Nothing doing back there. Sobers at second.
I don't know if I've ever seen the inside move from a sidewinder.
That looks a little different, doesn't it?
It did. I wanted to call a balk.
Foul back.
Well, he's getting some good swings here, and he's seen all of his pitches. That helps.
An 8-pitch at bat to this point. And now ball 3. So we're going to 3-2. Rays need a base runner. They're down by 3. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Forsythe hitting for DeJesus. There's a little tapper. Machado, no play at first, no place anywhere. And the Rays have men on the corners. Machado cutting to his left. Forsythe with a pinch hit infield single.
Well, he battled this at bat. A nice job. And right there, puts the ball in play, gives himself a chance. Hit it too softly for any play to be made. But that was really a nice at bat by Forsythe to battle a tough righty.
Now the Rays now with 10 hits. They've out-hit Baltimore 10-7. But they trailed 7-4. 2 men on now for Escobar. Kevin Kiermaier has already moved on deck.
Yep. Yeah, this is the 4th time now in the last 6 games the Rays have put up double-digit hit games. And tonight they need the runs to go along with it.
Escobar lifts a fly ball into right. Markakis there to make the catch. A tag at third. Zobrist will cross the plate. That makes it 7-5. Zobrist scores on the sacrifice fly by Escobar.
Well, now you get the left-handed Kiermaier against O'Day. He should get a pretty good look at that arm angle, and he's shown some power.
Well, charge to Mattis. Here's Kiermaier. He was 0 for 4 in last night's game. He tracks the pitch too low. 1 ball, no strikes. The Rays at one time trailed by 5. They closed the gap to 1. Baltimore opened it to 3. Now it's 2. Big cut and a miss by Kiermaier.
Yeah.
Oh my. He liked that one.
Yes, he did. You're thinking the same thing. You get that fastball, take a rip at it, but that's what O'Day can do. Watch him rise low arm angle, and he'll shoot this thing up in the zone. Just continues to climb and gets over the swing of Kiermaier.
There's a line drive base hit into right. First and second now for the Rays. Forsythe stops at second on the pinch hit single by Kiermaier.
And here's the thing, too. Darren O'Day out on the mound. This inning's starting to get away from him. There's nobody warming up. So he is out there to try to get out of this. See what happens if you don't allow that fastball to climb up in the zone. It becomes good hitting. And Kiermaier strokes it into right.
Two men aboard with 1 out. There's Sean Rodriguez. Sean homered back in the 3rd off Gonzalez. The pitch is a strike. This after the Rays had fallen behind 5-0. He hit the first pitch off the C ring. Got the Rays on the board. 7th home run of the year. He trails only Evan Longoria on the team in home runs. Cut and a miss. Slider away, 0-2.
Yeah, but you know what? If he catches one, the Rays are going to have the lead.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, that close.
Two strikes the count. And a cut and a miss. He's out on strikes. 2 gone.
Now that was a better job by O'Day to continue to move that slider away from Rodriguez. First one caught a lot of plates, second one outer third, and then the third one, you see how he just marched him right across the plate and picking up that strikeout.
2 outs, and that takes us back around to the top of the order. Desmond Jennings, who had a base hit off O'Day last night, has a home run in this game tonight. That move again. Two men on with 2 men out, a 2-run ball game. Yankees have beaten the Blue Jays in New York 3-1. Tanaka, the winner, he goes to 11-1. And Britton, the lefty, is up now in the bullpen. It's outside. A couple of pretty good takes by Jennings here to start this at bat. Runs, 11 hits for the Rays. Still need 2 more to get even. O'Day wants to talk with Joseph.
Indecision. 2-0 count. I'm trying to figure out what the plan of action is.
Two balls, no strikes. Ooh, a strike on the outside edge.
Now, if you're Desmond, obviously you give him that one. That's a pitcher's pitch. Not a whole lot you're going to be able to do with this one. But you got to force him to make a couple more just like it.
Two on, a high fly ball into center. Jones is there to make the catch. The Rays score 1. They lead 2 and trail by 2 after 8.
trying to direct traffic as guys are trying to figure out what positions they're playing here at the top of the ninth. I'll be joined by this guy, Orestes Estrada, for the postgame show.
Yeah, and also Julio will be there too. But
Julio, the baseball.
He's right here. But listen, what a great game this has been. 5 home runs. It's just been outstanding. 4 home runs. 9 home runs in the last 2 games. And just been a great game. I love the offense that we're showing and the fact that we're continuing to battle. And by the way, stay tuned, people, because Jerry Sands still hasn't hit. So we may see a Jerry Sands 3.
You would say.
Jerry, hello. 3 in a row, Jerry, please.
All right, was this all in the Spanish broadcast just now?
This was in the Spanish broadcast. Gracias, amigos. Por favor, mantengan paciencia. Be patient.
All right, guys, Rays Live post-game show presented by Checkers afterwards. We'll hear from BAL AT TBA as well. Kelly gathering interviews for the Rays clubhouse. Me, Orestes, and Julio down by the schoolyard. Back to you.
Well, if anybody was planning on missing it, they're not now. So there'll be a lot going on the post-game show on Rays Live, the post-game. Changes here in the ninth. Joseph hits the first pitch delivered by Cesar Ramos, the new pitcher, and he hits it to the new left fielder, Ben Zobrist, who moves out there from second. So Ben Zobrist is out there in left. Kevin Kiermaier is in center field. Logan Forsythe is at second. And the new pitcher, Cesar Ramos, and the new catcher is Ryan Hannigan. Markakis. 1 ball, no strikes.
And I think Ryan Hannigan was asking where that pitch was, because that looked like a pretty good fastball catching the plate. Big difference between 1-1 and 2-0.
That's a strike. Pierce is on deck. Rays have Peralta in the bullpen. He'd been warming up alongside Ramos in the bottom of the 8th. Chop left side. Here comes Rodriguez with a quick grab and a nice play right there on the throw to Loney. Rodriguez, a full head of steam, cutting to his left after that chopper.
Yeah, right in front of Yunel Escobar to make that play. That was well done by Sean.
So 2 up, 2 down in the ninth.
All the momentum working its way towards first base, and you see Yunel waiting for that hop, never gets to him.
Steve Pierce against Ramos. Pitch is a strike at the knees. Fastball. Well, right now, Pierce is the difference in this game with his 2-run home run in the 7th. That's going to be fair. A roller past Loney down beyond the bullpen mound, and Joyce goes to get it on the double by Pierce. Just fair between Loney and the line.
Well, he showed his power on the 2-run homer earlier tonight, and then how about the cue shot here and the placement, just dropping it into fair territory up the line, right off the end of the bat.
Pierce is on base for the 4th time in this game.
Boy, and hitting in the 2-hole. Mark Showalter could not have constructed this lineup any better for tonight.
Well, an intentional walk coming to Adam Jones with first base open, and Chris Davis and his power left-handed bat due up. Well, how about this for your choices? Earlier in the night, the Rays walked Chris Davis intentionally to pitch to Nelson Cruz. And here in the 9th, they're walking Jones intentionally to pitch to Chris Davis.
It's all about picking your poison. A lot of these matchups you're not a big fan of, so you just try to go to the one that you feel is a little bit more palatable.
Davis hit the grand slam off the starter left-hander Eric Bedard back in the 3rd inning. It came on an 0-2 pitch. You see the great effort by DeJesus. He goes down as the ball hit the foul pole. They had to review it, and it was proclaimed the grand slam. And so here's Davis. He was intentionally walked in the 5th. A couple strikeouts to go with the grand slam. Pitch is a fastball. Ball 1. Two outs, now 2 men on. Big cut to miss. Hannigan came out with a thought about second base where Pearson wandered freely off the bag. One ball, one strike. But in as he ducks it. Leaning away. 2 balls and a strike. It's 2-1. Strike 2. Squares it. Ramos working to Chris Davis. Escobar stationed right up the middle behind Ramos, whose 2-2 pitch. Ground ball right side into shallow right. Forsythe will make the pickup and the throw out of the shift, and that will retire the side. Bottom of the 9th coming, and the Rays need 2 to keep it going, 3 to win it. telecast is presented by authority of the Tampa Bay Rays and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Rays. We go to the bottom half of the ninth inning. Jerry Sands, who has come up in crucial situations for the Rays in the last two games and has come through, including last night with the home run, will lead off the bottom of the ninth, pinch hitting tonight. Well, he crushed that one last night, and the Rays' 5-4 win came in the bottom of the eighth inning. It will be Sands to lead it off here, then Longoria with Loney due to hit third. Sands batting for Joyce against Zach Britton. The first pitch is a strike. Britton's pitch, a 95-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah, good velocity on the fastball, but really even better sinking action. One of the best ground ball pitchers, one of the best relievers in the game right now.
The tap to third. Machado fields, and the throw picked over there by Davis for the out. One gone. Now Evan Longoria.
Machado coming in, watching that ball right into the glove, and then throwing on the run. Low throw. Davis digs it out.
Rays need a base runner to have a shot. They're down 7-5. Ground ball, shortstop sharply hit. Hardy comes up with it, and his throw to first in time. So with Britton out there, this is not unusual.
No. Now that's 74 ground balls to just 7 fly balls on the season. That ground ball to fly ball ratio just absurd.
I'll tell you, at this moment, this guy's got to be the best.
I mean, the thing is, it's one thing to be a ground ball guy, which he obviously is, but at that velocity, that's what makes it so difficult. He's throwing up there 93, 95 with just ridiculous movement.
Well, James Loney.
Now, there was an article written earlier this year, and of course everything is subjective, but they had the 10 best pitches in Major League Baseball. A certain pitcher with a certain pitch, and Zach Britton's sinker made that list of top 10 pitches in all the game.
Here's the 0-1 to Loney. It's down, and boy, you can believe that.
I mean, that 96, 97 miles an hour, and you get that kind of finish on that pitch. Usually when you're talking about that kind of velocity, you start to think Jake McGee, who just powers that fastball by you up in the zone with not a lot of sinking action. But to get sink with that velocity.
And a chopper out to second base. Scopes got it. And it's a 1-2-3 inning in the bottom of the ninth inning. 3 ground balls to end this one. And the Baltimore Orioles win it 7-5. We'll have the totals in a moment.